How are we all doing, everyone? Going live tonight. Going to talk some Padres baseball. It has been quite some time since we went live, but today we're going to be talking about the offseason. We've definitely done a few videos, done stuff on Kim trade rumors, Cronenworth trade rumors, the Soto stuff. Kind of kept you up to date on news in terms of like actual Padres news, but we never talked about really the offseason in full. After we talked about like our initial plan with the offseason, what we wanted to see, stuff like that. So we didn't really get into that too much. Now the offseason is kind of swinging through, and it's been someone was trying to argue this with me, but I think it's been about as bad as it could possibly be. You have the owner and Peter Seidler die. That is awful news, absolutely terrible. Then you trade Juan Soto to the Yankees. Then the Dodgers signed the best player in the league for a decade. And now you're probably going to lose Snell, and you lost your manager to the Giants, and they also beat you out for the top guy you were after. I mean, guys, we got to be realistic. Like, it has not been good. Now, title of this video is "Are the Padres fucked?" Right? Or the stream. I think it's very interesting. I don't think they're completely fucked. I think we're going to kind of get into it. I think Isaac is probably going to be more harsh than me, but I think this idea that it's not up for discussion is kind of crazy. Like, I think that's the crazy part. Like, oh, and I hear a lot of people saying this. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's a lot better than it used to be." It's like, well, we don't want to measure the Padres, the current day Padres, to the 2012 Padres. We don't want to do that. I don't understand what's the point of that. So not to rip on fans. Everybody should be able to fan their own way. But if people get upset because other people are upset about the performance, about a Preller team never having a 90 win season, and being like, hey, I don't believe in these guys. Like, this is bad. It's bad that we traded Soto. I also don't think that's fair. So I don't want to rip people that are optimistic. Like, I don't want to do that. And I feel like there's times like there's things to be optimistic about still. Like, even though it's been rough, like there's still good exciting parts, but I want to see what everyone's kind of feeling like too in this stream today. So it'll be fun to kind of talk about. But yeah, I mean, we go through kind of the big stuff, and we'll definitely get into comments, any questions, start sending them in, because we'll just kind of read what you guys got, what you're thinking about, for this offseason, everything like that, what you think the Padres should do moving forward. But Isaac, how are you feeling right now overall about the San Diego Padres? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. So first off, hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to Friar Talk. We haven't done one of these streams in a while. I have the most fun doing these, so I'm excited to talk to you guys again. I'm not doing good though, because I have AJ Brown playing tonight. I'm down 10.1 points to one of my best friends, and I'm stressing, man. For those of you who play fantasy football, I hope you're having a very stress-free Monday night. I hope you already won your matchup, because this is a horrible feeling knowing your season's on the line. Somehow my season's on the line. I don't know how. The other guy only put up 75 points, so somehow I'm still in it. It's a battle of mid, or a battle of ass, if you want to say. But nonetheless, it's still a lot of fun, and I'm excited to watch some Monday Night Football. But let's talk about the Padres. Let's talk some baseball. There's a lot of things going on with the Padres and surrounding the Padres, right? You got the Giants getting Young-Hoo Lee, and I don't think it's a good contract for the Giants. I think it's a major overpay for them, considering what we got a similar player for. The Dodgers, they got Shohei Ohtani. They got him on a pretty damn good deal. And yes, that does affect the Padres, whether we want to believe it or not. We play them 10 times a year. They're in our division. They're blocking us from a division title. And they've been blocking us for years and years and years, as long as I can remember. The Diamondbacks signed Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Pretty solid signing for them. The Diamondbacks are looking like a good team. They just went to the World Series. Meanwhile, the Padres have lost Juan Soto. They are losing Blake Snell. They're going to lose Josh Hader. They're losing some really key pieces to this team, a team that only won 84 games last year. And here we are talking in December, talking about, we'll just wait till January, what to February, when the prices are a little more adjusted. Dude, is everyone not going to be gone by then? Like, are you not concerned? This is regarding AJ Preller. Are we not concerned that he will be gone by then? That any player that you are going after might be gone by then? Because that's a major concern. Pitching is very expensive right now. So I understand maybe wanting to wait, considering the circumstances that the Padres are in, right? They're in a circumstance where it's like, we don't really want to go over 200 million, maybe not even 200 million, right? I don't really know how much is open on the books. I don't know what's going on with the Padres. I don't think any of us do, because we keep hearing conflicting reports. Oh, they don't really want to go past 175. And then it's, they might go past 200 million if it's for the right player, right? Well, let's think about it, right? The past few years, if it's for the right player, the Padres have been willing to spend the money. Now, that was Peter Seidler's philosophy. What's going to be the next guy's philosophy, right? We don't know what Eric Kusenda's philosophy is. We really don't. And I hope it's the same as Seidler's because I want to win. And Matt, you brought up a really good point. Comparing the 2024 San Diego Padres to the 2015, 2016, 17, 18, whatever it is, Padres, it's not fair. It's like you saying, well, I'm okay with being an 85 win team because we used to be a 65 win team. But does 85 wins get you in the playoffs all the time? No, it doesn't. It almost never does. So, no, I'm not okay with being an 85 win team considering what we were promised ever since COVID. We were told this was going to be a team that was consistently going to be in the playoffs. We were told this is going to be a team that's consistently going to try and compete, consistently spending with the big spenders in the MLB. And here we are a few years later saying, hey, man, we might not be amongst the big spenders. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. You don't have to spend over $200 million to build a good roster. But this is not a roster that I look at and say, yeah, this is worth $200 million. Because you only have two outfielders. You have a second baseman playing first base. You don't have a good starting rotation. Your bullpen is not deep. You have one catcher. So I don't really know what to think of the Padres roster right now. I'm not going to say they're fucked. I won't say that because I do think they have enough money to where if they want to compete, they can.
It's very TBD, right?
Yeah, it's to be determined. We won't know until the start of the season, right? Like we legitimately won't know until I'd say February or March. So no, it's a matter of they could un-F themselves, right? Yeah, hey, maybe that's a good point. That's a good point. We could see him back in a Padre uniform next year. But the reality is, if they want to compete, they have the money to try competing and squeaking into the playoffs. I don't think they're a 90-win team no matter who they sign. But they could really squeak into the playoffs if they really wanted to and if they made good signings. Now, if they want to kind of just punt on this year and reset themselves to try and get back in the luxury tax next year, then, hey, go for it. That's fine. We will know here soon by the moves they make if they want to compete or not. So, with that being said, no, I don't think the Padres are necessarily effed, but I will say the only really scenario is they have to unfuck themselves with the money that they have.
Yeah. Also, I see a lot of people saying that the Padres do have two catchers. Yeah, they have Higgy in the Yankees trade, but like, he's not good. Like, you don't want to have him as your catcher. That's like being like, oh, we got this guy who's borderline MLB player. Like, I think what Isaac's saying is last year they had two catching options later in the season in Gary Sanchez and Luis Campusano, and he's just, I mean, you're just trying to illustrate the loss that this team has felt and is going to have to endure the season in a year where you didn't make the playoffs the year before. Like it's that's why I think it's scary. Like I see a lot of people talking about it, and I think you're right. Like I think to have the idea like, oh, the Padres are they're completely screwed. They're broke. It's this, and this. I think a lot of that stuff is not accurate. It seems like they've made multiple offers to guys like that. It seemed like that was kind of reported. At least, I don't know. It's hard to tell with Twitter rumors and stuff like that, but it does seem like that is the case, right? But you also have to like if you're going to be optimistic, you got to be really cautious about it because we don't know what this team has. If you're going to just sit here and be like, oh, the Padres are totally like screwed, like there's no coming out of this, I don't think that's accurate. You look at the farm system, and the farm system is back to being a little bit better. But then I bring that up, right? I bring up the farm system. This is what I tweeted out earlier, and I said this underneath. All right, dude, when have the Padres developed prospects? Like you can play the counterpoint to that too. So it's hard. They're in such a weird spot right now because and this is what frustrates me. They should have done everything possible, and maybe it just wasn't going to work out. They should have done everything possible to build around Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis at 24 years old. But now it's like, okay, you got Fernando Tatis, he's young, but you have a lot of guys on deals, and they're not young. But you have these prospects. You're just in this weird spot, and it's like you don't want to spend money because the market's so ridiculous, and you feel like you're going to kind of blow it, and you have the Xander Bogaerts contract. So I'm like down with not overpaying some of these guys. But then you're also wasting a year of two guys that are 31 years old, 31 years old in Machado and Bogaerts. Like that's okay. You traded Juan Soto. Okay, you only have one outfielder now. Like, it's just a scary spot to be in. So, we're talking about where they're just at overall. But Isaac, what do you think what do you really think they should do? Like, we've talked about certain stuff. Like, do you trade Kim? Like, and we're like, I mean, you might have to. They might feel like they have to, but we don't really want to see him go. But like, if you're the Padres, like, my thought is you sign. I saw people talking about this earlier. They would rather see the prospects come up than going and signing rentals. And I think yes, but I think it depends on the rentals, and you still need some rentals. You still need a left-handed starter really bad. Like, I would like to see Blake Snell back. We'll see, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But I want to see that. Like, the fan side of me, I like Blake Snell. But then also, like, you need another bat in the outfield, at least one. So you could get a Jorge Soler, even though he's more like a DH, or a Jock Peterson, right? Like, you need a bat like that. Like, adding a rental like that would be huge. So what do you think? Like, that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm like, they need to make a couple moves. They need to figure out like what this team looks like. They need to add some power to the lineup because they just lost a lot of it. What do you think?
I mean, it's got to be a mix of both, right? It's got to be a mix of getting the guys. Sorry, I'm watching the game. It's got to be a mix of guys that you got from the Yankees in that Juan Soto trade. They got to be heavily involved in the pitching staff, whether it be the bullpen or not. But it's also going to be rentals. Personally, I don't really know if I want to sign anyone to a long-term deal unless it's like Blake Snell or another nice starting pitcher. Cody Bellinger, I'm out. I don't think I'm in on Cody Bellinger. I understand the interest in Cody Bellinger, considering the need for a lefty bat and an outfielder. It does make sense, but I mean, I don't really know if this market is the one where you want to invest in a star player like that. A, because they're going to cost a lot, and B, because is Cody Bellinger really the guy you want to invest in, considering it's only been one season of success in the past few years? So, in my opinion, you got to do a mix of both. You got to get some rentals, some 1, 2, maybe 3-year deals, and you have to be able to sprinkle in some prospects in there. And you have to somehow develop them and turn them into valuable players. Because, I mean, the way we're going right now, continuously spending and not having any sort of young stars or young producers, it's led us to this point, right? It's led us to this point where we're saying, shoot, man, we kind of have to reset ourselves, or we might not be able to spend that much money this year. And it's mostly because you don't have anyone that's really producing you that's very young for you, that's very young. That's why guys like Jackson Merrill come in the future, Dylan Lesko, Ethan Salas. You need these guys to hit. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm all in 2024. 2023 was the year. So, I will say I don't know if I'm all in on this year, because I just don't think it's realistic to envision the Padres spending a lot of money and winning. I just don't see it. I really don't. And I hate to say that, but yeah, I'll say not punting on 2024. Make the signings, at least try and compete. But if they don't compete, I won't be mad.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then Steve asked this question a little earlier. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. But conflicting reports about how much they have to spend, 20 or 30 million. Well, that was like earlier on in the offseason, before the Soto trade, before obviously Grisham got traded. Right now, and this is on Spot Track, they're projected to have $146 million of their current payroll. That's like with arbitration and stuff like that, right? So I would say like minimum 30, right? Based on like you're saying, it's usually like I've seen like 175 to 200.
It's around 30 to 40, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of where it's at. I see some stuff here though. I think see some different guys. Devin, I actually gave Isaac and Chase a list of what we should do the offseason wish list, and it was full of Eric Lauer. Who is it? I gave you only Padres. Travis Jankowski. Zach Davies. It was a joke. It was definitely.
It was a bunch of Padres, yes.
That are like washed now. But yeah, we got one here. I know he's not a lefty, but CJ Cron won't break the bank, and you go out still get lefty. I mean, CJ Cron is interesting. He's supposed to get like a $5 million deal. Like, he's not supposed to get a big contract. He's kind of old though. It's kind of scary to like what has not worked for the Padres. I was looking though at kind of free agents and stuff. Isaac, you said you want to bring back some free agents. You want to have some prospects start. Who do you think is like who are you looking at? Because I feel like you have to sign a starter, right?
A pitcher? Yeah, you have to. You have to get at least one. I mean, your rotation is what? Musgrove, Darvish. It's a bunch of righties, no? Yeah, so you need a lefty starter, like really, really bad. I don't know who they're going to be looking at. Hopefully, it's not someone like Rich Hill. Um, but yeah, I don't know who they're going to be looking at, man. I like off the top of my head, I can't give you any names because I literally don't know how much money they have to spend. We're all just assuming, oh, they might have 20, they might have 40, they might have a little more. I don't know. So I can't give you like a, because if we have like what, 30 to spend and we go drop it all on Blake Snell, then yeah, we're a little screwed. We're fucked. Um, but I mean, you have to, I think you might have to go to the trade market, whether it be for bats or for a left-hander. Um, Obviously, Max Kepler's kind of been popping up lately. So has Jorge Polanco. Rosarena has been popping up. You're gonna have to go to the trade market if you want to get a good bat. I think personally, if you want to get an outfielder, you go to the trade market. I mean, Kepler is an outfielder. Um, then you'll actually have three outfielders if you get Kepler. Not that Azokar is a starting outfielder, but I mean, in the time being, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, prospect wise, ideally Jackson Merrill's ready. You would have to hope Jackson Merrill's ready. Everyone talks about Jacob Marcy. I don't really know too much about him. We'll talk about him sometime soon, but Alf Main brings up a good point. Marlins have a couple lefty pitchers. Luzardo seems to have become available. Yeah, man, the Padres need to look at the trade market, in my opinion.
You also talked about the Marlins being a potential spot where you could trade like Cronenworth or Kim or something like that to get the lefty starter. Which the problem is that Cronenworth doesn't seem to have much value because they played him at first base. But I see a couple other names. I mean, like if you look for agent wise, basically if you're not getting someone that's terrible, it's Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. Those are who you have. That's it. And then you're going to have to spend like 25 plus mil on probably either of them a year for like a 5 or 6 year deal. So it's like you have to pay a lot to do that. So I don't know if they're going to do that. If not, the Marlins definitely make the most sense. And that's like kind of step one. Like that's something you have to do this offseason. Then you look at the rest of the team. I don't think they're going to add another catcher. Like Isaac, I knew that you were like, I don't really see Higgy playing, but I think he's going to be the backup catcher. Then you look around, you go, okay, say Machado's DHing or playing first base to start the year or whatever. Like, okay, we need one of a first base or a DH. If you're not going to trade some of them, so it's like, okay, you need one power bat there. You could just go cheap, but you got to get someone that can at least hit 20 bombs at first base. And you can find guys like that aren't expensive. CJ Cron is an interesting name. You brought up Jackson Merrill to play the corner outfield. Or he could play first base, I guess. That's kind of weird. I mean, that's the same thing we just did before, so I don't really want to see that. If Tatis can play center and you have Jackson Merrill in one outfield spot, you could sign Jock or Jorge Soler, and your team looks a lot better that way. But is there enough money to do that? Sign, let's say, Garrett Cooper or CJ Cron to first base for a couple million. Sign or trade for like a decent starter, like a lefty starter. Get Jock or whoever for 15 mil. I mean, it's only adding like 20 mil or so, 20, 30 mil. That's like about where that is. So I guess you can do that. That's kind of like what I'm thinking of, like where they're at. Like you can add like stuff for cheap, but you still need to add impact bats. Like you can't just go into the season and be like, oh, we're not going to replace Juan Soto. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. And you're going to do it with a starting rotation. Like you're going to do it. So that's what I feel like. Trying to look back up at some of these comments here. Not even gonna buy MLB The Show this season. Yeah, Luzardo. Yes, might have to give up Merrill. I don't think it would be that much.
No, I don't think it would be that much either. That's a top 10 prospect in baseball. Is Luzardo really worth a top 10 prospect in baseball?
I guess we have to see.
Yeah, I don't really know what his value is, but that's a lot to give up. Yeah, that's some bull crap, man. The Dodgers really set the market. Blake Snell's gonna get so much money. Is it really unreasonable to think like 5 for 150, 5 for 165? I mean, that sounds realistic to me.
I think so too. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I feel like overall for the situation they're at, like there is pitching coming up. Is there any? I gotta check their prospect list. There's no one that's a lefty that's ready though, right?
In our system?
Yeah, no, right?
No, I don't think so.
Like everyone's real ETA is 25 pitching wise. Like Snelling's it says 26,
Yeah, so I mean, rushing
and he
any
was
of
the best. He's probably the best option.
yes, rushing any of them is not a good idea.
Who else? Julio Iriarte. Hiro. He was really good last year. Did he pitch what up to Double A?
I think so.
But that's the thing. Like he's only pitched 13 games and only started 7 games in Double A. It still feels like you're pushing him up pretty quick.
None of them are ready.
That's how I feel too. That's the part that's scary. Like,
oh, none of them are ready, bro. It's completely reasonable to say none of them are ready. And if they, I mean, let's say they do push them up. I'm still watching this game. Let's say they push them up, right? Let's say they do end up coming up and supposedly being ready. It's just another prospect that you're pushing way too fast, and that's usually what has led to the Padres' failures lately, right?
I think they also trade a lot of them. So I think it's hard.
For sure.
So I don't know. Any news on Yamamoto? Just seems like he's gonna get around 300.
Yeah, he requested a second meeting with the Yankees, and another one supposedly with the Mets. So hey, I mean, you're looking at maybe an East Coast signing for sure.
Yeah, I mean the Mets didn't really go after Ohtani, so it seems like they're all in on Yamamoto.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Okay, here we go. We got a wish list right here. Rosario and CJ Cron, lefty righty. Which Rosario?
Eddie.
Mm-hmm. I mean that's way to be cheap.
I mean, probably, yeah. If you want to be cheap,
outfielder.
Yeah, if you want to be cheap, that's the way to go. It's not a winning move, though.
Yeah, this is very true too, and I think this is why I'm on the path of like, hey, let's be patient. But then we're also only talking about next season. I mean, if we're talking about like the overall organization, it's like, well, one, we got to see what happens with the ownership. That's probably the most concerning thing of everything that's happened. But also, like, are they just going to be stuck with these contracts, not really able to make any moves?
Yeah.
Because right now we're talking about Manny and Bogarts, and yes, they're coming off bad years. But we're talking about them in their prime years. 5 years from now, if it's like, yeah, I can't really make many moves, it's gonna be like, dude, what happened? Mm-hmm. What happened, man? So, yeah, I think for this year though, I think this makes sense, right? Like, you kind of got to wait a little bit. It's just hard because there's no lefties or trade.
You have to trade. I think you have to go to the trade market, and it sucks because you traded so many of your prospects. But yeah, you're gonna have to go to the trade market. I mean, 1 or 2 signings and then a trade or 2. I think that'll work if you want to compete.
Do you think they should compete? Max Kepler. I like Max Kepler.
I like Kepler. Yeah, he's solid. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of torn, man. I don't want to waste another year of Manny and Xander. They're only going to get older, but I don't really know if this feels like a year that they should be trying to go all in, because they can reset the luxury. I'm not saying they have to, be top spenders in order to go and win. I'm not saying that. They don't have to be top spenders, but it doesn't feel like a year where you go and spend a lot of money on players and you go try and win a World Series. It just doesn't feel like that. I don't really see it in the Padres' 2024, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, Max Kepler is. I mean, I think he's really intriguing, but I mean, look at his numbers. They're not that great. Like his career numbers.
They're not. No, they're not. It's just he's cheap. He's like expected to be somewhat cheap. Yeah.
10 mil. So it's like, yeah. But would you rather just have okay, here's my question. Would you rather have like Soler or Jock Peterson for a longer term contract and not have to give up prospects? Probably.
I mean, yeah, most likely.
Like Kepler's that's the thing. Like Kepler's okay, but it's like if you're paying those guys $5 million more a year, it's like you're signing them. They're gonna
without giving up a lot of prospect capital.
Yeah. Would you trade Merrill and Lesko for Rosarena? Nah. we were talking about Arozarena, but I don't know how
he gets
I don't know.
hyped so much, and I don't think the numbers are justified.
The numbers are not the hype is way higher than the numbers
Yes.
for like him.
Yes.
So
I completely agree.
it's hard, dude. Oh, Max Kepler was really good last year, but look at his
No, he
numbers
was.
before. Last year he was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2022, he had, 450 plate appearances and posted a 666 OPS.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 2 prior seasons, he didn't have an OPS at 800. He's had 2 OPSs over 800 in his career, and his career is 9 seasons long.
Yep.
Really 8 seasons. He didn't really play his first year. But that's the thing. Like Peterson is going to be a strict platoon. Okay, that's true. I like Soler, bro. We talked about Soler last offseason. Isaac, did I tell you about this? If they sign Soler and they sign Josh Bell, who wasn't even that good last year, or Bellinger, because those were like the 3 guys we wanted. If they would have signed 2 of those instead of signing Xander Bogaerts, they make the playoffs.
Oh, most likely, yeah. There was a lot more home run production.
Soler had like 40.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I completely agree with you. Soler makes sense. I mean, I don't know how good he is in the outfield. He'd probably DH a decent amount, but we need outfielders, man. We just need something. This is what I'm saying, man. There's way too much uncertainty for me to feel comfortable in saying like the Padres are going to compete. I just don't feel it. I don't see it in 2024. I mean, maybe they'll squeak in. They'll squeak into the playoffs, and that's really all you need to do. That'd be great. I'd be super happy if they were able to. But is it unreasonable to say they're the 3rd or 4th best team in their own division? I think they're 3rd.
I mean, you have to say 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I can't say 2nd. The Diamondbacks, I'd say, are probably better. I can't for sure give them 3rd. The Giants aren't that bad. They almost had the same production, or they almost had the same wins as us last year, and that was with Juan Soto and one of the top pitching staffs in baseball. So no, I can't say that the Padres are for sure better than the Giants.
Yeah, I gotta see a lot of these. So I think we have a good idea of what we think the Padres should do. But Devin is right. Here's what we're gonna end up with right here: a Mr. Joey Gallo. Isaac, you know it.
That's true. That's true.
We gotta be cheap. I know the guy. So let me ask you this: What happens if Padres signed Joey Gallo and Profar? I'm down with Profar, by the way.
I'm down with Profar. Profar's
gonna get vet min.
I don't really like Gallo. I mean, he was a great defender, but I don't really know, man. I mean, sorry, I'm tired. I don't really know the moves the Padres could make where I could say, oh yeah, they're for sure a contender. I mean, they don't have enough money to sign a big free agent. They don't have the prospect capital to make very big trades. So I don't know.
What do you think about Paxton or Ryu? Someone asked that. Where is it? I lost it. Here they are. Ryu was pretty good last year. Is he a free agent? He's not a free agent though.
I don't know, to be honest. Honestly, I think he is.
He's on his. He's a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Dude, actually, Ryu's pretty good.
He's not bad. That's someone I could see them signing.
That's a good signing too.
That's someone I could see signing.
I mean, he wasn't good in 22, but last year he had around a 3.5 ERA. He's a lefty.
And that will do. That will play.
That makes a lot of sense. Who's the other one? Paxton?
Yeah, James Paxton.
James Paxton. I think they're both free agents. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I'm looking up his numbers right now. His nickname is the Big Maple. That is crazy. Paxton doesn't have good numbers that much recently. I don't know about Paxton. I'd be a lot more comfortable with Ryu.
Isn't Paxton a righty?
No, I think he's a lefty.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he's a lefty.
Lefty.
So gotcha. Ryu's a good move. I like Ryu. Paxton, look at Paxton's last 5 years. They're pretty bad. Okay, this is a little. look, I know we're not even really trying to be negative. We're saying just wait, just be patient. But also to say that they had one down year, it would kind of be the other way. They've had one
Good year. Yes.
in the last
One
9.
good
So
year.
that,
Yeah.
and people will count the COVID year, but we've talked about this.
No, if that wasn't
They
a
had no
60-game
pitching.
season, yeah, they're not making the playoffs if that wasn't a 60-game season. So I would say they've had one good year.
Yeah,
And they've had two of the most historically disappointing seasons in baseball, I would say. One of the biggest collapses in MLB history. And I would say the 2023 season was one of the biggest failures in MLB history too.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, I don't think that we're writing them off from the playoffs. I think we're saying the exact opposite. We're saying that it is a tough path to the playoffs, though.
I
That's
think they
the
can
problem.
squeak in. That's the thing is I squeak in.
And they're gonna. And the thing is, they will squeak in because of those guys.
Yeah, that's
But the reason
yeah.
the reason they would only be squeaking in is because they've been mismanaged. That's the thing. Like they
Yeah.
don't have the complementary pieces.
I
I
mean,
I also don't know how. Okay, this is why I want them to sign a pitcher or go after a good pitcher like Ryu. Like that's a good cheaper option. But like, if you're gonna make the playoffs, and this is maybe where you make a trade at the deadline, right? If you're good next year, but if you're gonna make the playoffs, you have to have elite starting pitching. Like that's how you, or just not even elite starting pitching, elite pitching. Like that's how you win. You hit home runs and you have elite pitching, especially you have superstars in your lineup and you have really good pitching. Like we saw that when the Padres had a playoff run. Like they had good pitching. Game 3 against the Mets, Joe Musgrove goes out there and just absolutely balls out. Has one of the best games, probably his best game all season. Like, so it's like you got to have those performances. So I don't know.
yeah, and I'm not
And the bullpen
confident.
was lights out.
Yeah, and I'm not confident that this is a rotation as good as last year's, or even 2022. So I'm not writing them off and saying this isn't a good team or anything like that. Yes, I understand Bogarts is probably going to be good. Tatis is probably going to be good. Machado is probably going to be good. Probably even Ha-Seong Kim and Jake Cronenworth as well. Who knows? But to say this is going to be a team that's a lock to make the playoffs and a lock to do much in the playoffs, even if they do make it there, the current state of the Padres gives me no confidence that they'll be anything more than 85 win team. And we all know in baseball, just because you have stars doesn't mean you're going to win 90 plus games. Like just because you have Manny, Xander, and Fernando doesn't mean anything. Fernando hit 42 bombs in 2021 and they won 79 games. Machado posted a 4-WAR season. Jake Cronenworth posted a 4-WAR season. Musgrove had a really good year. Snell had a pretty solid end of the year. And they still only won 79 games. So that doesn't guarantee you a spot in the playoffs. Now, the thing with 2021 was that
Wait, 79? Talking about last year?
No, 2021.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't think they won.
No, they won 84 last year, I think it was, or 83, something like
82,
that.
yeah. It was like just barely over 500.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, man. I think they can squeak in. That's the most I'll say.
I like this idea. Like, do a little bit, and then wait to the deadline to see if you can actually make a push. Because, dude, if you have like 15 mil to add that you feel like you can add the deadline, keep in mind like when you're getting contracts, you're getting guys like part of their contract. You're not eating their whole deal.
Yeah.
So you could add some pretty legit like hot players in the league if that happens too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this kind of has to be this year, is where it's like an in-between year. We're not going to push all in because that's just kind of dumb. But we're also not just going to you just can't sell. Like you got 3 dudes. Like I think that aspect of the argument of like being negative is accurate because it's like you have 3 dudes that you want in your lineup. Well, 2. We'll see with Bogarts, man.
Yeah.
I'll be
we don't know yet.
But like, I don't know. Obviously, Tatis is here to stay. You put Tatis in center and he can play center, you're gonna probably get like Mike Trout level numbers, which would be insane. Like there's definitely a path for it, but it's really gonna come down to pitching. They still need more pitching depth.
Oh, fuck yeah, they do. They got like none. I mean, keep in mind, Michael King's elbow is damn near fried. It's not fried. I'm exaggerating, but yeah, I mean, I don't feel confident in the pitching staff. I honestly hated that Juan Soto trade. Don't get me wrong, I understood the trade, but are these guys even starters? Like, are we even sure they're gonna fill out our rotation? Are we even sure they're gonna make it any good? We don't know. Legit,
No, and
like,
that's why people were like, "Oh, the Padres did so good." It's like, dude, he's still probably gonna re-sign with the Yankees.
mm-hmm.
What do you think about this, JDS?
I don't think we're putting any faith in him. I think we're saying that he sucks, and we're disappointed in how this offseason is going so far because they traded one of the top hitters in baseball. They lost out on Young Hoo Lee, which I understand not signing him. That's a lot of money to give to him. That was kind of stupid by the Giants. Your rival signed the best player in baseball. Things aren't going good. Things are not going good. And I don't know what to expect for the future either.
No, I'm with you. Isaac, do you have any other Padres things you want to discuss? You want to talk about the NFL for a little bit? All right. So I see people talking about the Niners. I saw people talking about fantasy. Well, Isaac, you talked about fantasy before. I got something to let everyone know. So Chase isn't here today. And my theory is that Chase isn't here today because he's hurt deep down in the heart. Because my fantasy team is playing Chase's fantasy team in the playoffs. And, well, I had James Cook. I had James Cook for his probably will be his best game of his career. So very happy about that. But that's why Chase isn't here. We're gonna record some episodes later this week. But Chargers suck. Yeah, Isaac, how you feeling, dude? I think you're feeling better, right? I want to hear what you think about the Chargers. And then I'll say some stuff about the Niners, and then we'll see if anyone has any other questions.
I feel great. The next best thing would be Dean Spanos not being an owner anymore and the Spanos family being completely disassociated with the Chargers. That would be the next best thing because I think as long as they're there, the Chargers will rot, and I hate them, and they're some of the worst owners in sports. But the right moves were made. Firing Tom Telesco, firing Brandon Staley, that was amazing. First off, you already wasted, what was it? 3 years now of Justin Herbert because you hired an idiot in Brandon Staley. You wasted. So there's another guy. I'm surprised he wasn't talking about getting fired until it actually happened. I've been on the fire Tom Telesco train for about 2 or 3 years now. Anyway, Tom Telesco got fired because he wasted, let me see, 2013, 10 combined years of Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert. Only one time did they make the playoffs. Twice, I'm sorry, did they make the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Neither of them. They didn't even get to an AFC championship. They got blown out by the Patriots once, and they lost by like a touchdown to the Broncos.
The Ravens, I thought, right?
They beat the Ravens in 2018. They beat them in the first round. They lost to the Broncos in 2013. 10 years wasted of some damn good quarterback play. So, I mean, rest in piss. I don't care. I'm very happy that Tom Telesco is gone because I think he got a lot of praise he got way too much praise for nailing first round picks. Well, let's look at his history of first round picks. Who else was he going to draft? Was he not going to take Derwin James? Was he not going to take Rashawn Slater? Was he not going to take Justin Herbert? He took all the guys that were like shoo-ins and let's look at the guys that weren't shoo-ins. Zion Johnson sucks. Quentin Johnston sucks. DJ Fluker sucked. All the guys that like aren't no-brainers, they sucked. He's not a great evaluator. In no way, shape, or form has he been a great evaluator. He's hit on 1 third-round pick, Keenan Allen. Congrats. Best receiver maybe in Chargers history. What about anyone else? You traded up for Kenneth Murray. He sucks. There's so much wrong. Asante Samuel Jr., solid corner. He's a solid corner, but dude is the worst open field tackler I've ever seen in my life. He's literally only valuable if it's a pass play. So all the guys that you've gotten, they all suck. except for the guys that were no-brainers to draft. So he should have been fired long ago, in my humble opinion. He's had some good signings. Casey Hayward, solid signing. Brandon Mebane, solid signing. Russell Okung at one point, solid signing. I mean, if you want to say Melvin Gordon was a good first round pick, go for it. I don't think it was. I think he was okay. I mean, Todd Gurley was way better of a first round pick. But yeah, man, I'm super happy Brandon Staley's gone, and I can't wait to see what idiot they hire next. It's not going to be Bill Belichick. I doubt it'll be Jim Harbaugh. You know what they're going to do, right? They're going to get another rookie head coach, and they're going to waste even more of Justin Herbert's prime, because that is what the Spanos family does best. They waste careers. They've wasted Philip. In my lifetime alone, they have wasted Philip Rivers. They have wasted LaDainian Tomlinson. They have wasted Antonio Gates. Great years from Vincent Jackson. They pissed off the best safety that you had at the time, Eric Weddle. They've just done everything wrong. They have done everything wrong. I mean, keep in mind, this Chargers team, I remember at one point in my life, had the number 1 ranked offense, number 1 ranked defense, and they still missed the playoffs. So any possible way.
That is the best stat, dude. That is the
crazy.
Funniest stat.
Only the Chargers. So you really got to remember, like, this is a piss poor organization until those stupid idiots in the front office are gone.
Yeah, meanwhile, for me, the Niners are looking pretty nice. Obviously Niners look good. Niners Ravens. I think it's the game of the season. Isaac, what do you think? I think the winner of that game wins MVP. I think it'll be Purdy or Lamar. I don't think there's I think that it should be Mike McCaffrey or Tyreek, but it's not.
This shouldn't be. This is the one year where it shouldn't be a quarterback award. I'm sorry, Tyreek Hill and CMC have been putting up game-changing numbers. They deserve They deserve the MVP, man. I mean, CMC is still doing things that we've seen CMC do for a long time. That's equal to Adrian Peters. I feel like this is a good season, man. It's similar to Adrian Peterson's MVP year. Maybe not similar because Adrian Peterson rushed for 2,000 yards. But, I mean, this guy's been doing things that, I mean, I don't really know, man. He's amazing. And what quarterback has been doing outworldly, like Patrick Mahomes MVP type years? None of them. Brock Purdy's having a good year, but would you give it to Brock Purdy over CMC? I mean, Matt, I don't think you would.
I mean, here's the thing. When we talking for MVP, right? I think Brock Purdy is gonna win it. If I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be one of the quarterbacks. But if I picked someone, I would pick Tyreek.
Yeah, me too.
But if we were gonna pick this is where it gets interesting. You gotta let's say the Niners beat the Ravens. And so then in theory, you're giving to the most important player on the Niners, right? They're the best team. That's what the MVP is for, in theory, right?
Yeah, the best player.
Would you give it to Purdy? No. But would you give it to CMC? For being honest, for who's the most important? Now, obviously, this is extreme hypothetical, all right? I'm getting a little crazy here. But if you're going to give it to anyone on the 49ers team, you give it to Trent Williams, bro.
Oh,
did you see what happened to their team when they didn't have Trent Williams?
He's amazing. He's a Hall of Famer.
When they didn't have Trent Williams, they lost 3 games. And okay, Debo was out too. Newsflash, it's not Debo, bro. It's Trent. No. They don't scheme up I think we see this. They don't scheme up plays. They scheme up plays for Trent. The play is all right, Trent, you're gonna get in front of guys. That's how they're scheming it up. It's crazy. So that would be the most fun. Obviously, they're not ever gonna give it tackle.
No lineman will ever get that award, but
that's why I think Tyreek should have. If Tyreek didn't miss this week, he would have such a better case. If he was gonna be able to break 2,000 yards. Because he called it this offseason, too.
And
he said, I'm going to break 2,000 yards.
Yeah. And he probably still is. But, I mean, honestly, CMC hasn't missed any games. That's honestly probably why I'd give it to CMC. Hasn't missed any games. Has scored touchdowns on touchdowns on touchdowns. And, I mean, sure, you can say Lamar and Purdy, but in my opinion, they're not having seasons where I'm like, wow, this guy is a shoo-in for MVP. You look at the last few years. Who won it last year? Mahomes, he deserved it, right? 2018, it was Mahomes. 2019, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head who won all these awards, but there's not a quarterback this year where I'm saying that's a for sure MVP or that's a for sure MVP candidate. Like, don't get me wrong, Purdy and Lamar, yes, they're MVP candidates, but or Dak, even at one point, was probably the top candidate before this past weekend or this past yesterday. But I'm sorry, man. It's so easy for me to say that it should be one of Tyreek or CMC.
Yeah, the problem with Lamar is that Lamar's numbers just aren't good. Like Purdy's numbers are outrageous, right? He has I don't know what that noise was. He has 31 total touchdowns, and 7 picks, and he hasn't lost a fumble. He has like 3,700 yards or something.
Yeah.
Lamar only I think Lamar has 10 rushing touchdowns, but he only has 17 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. So,
but like obviously he's a huge reason, like the biggest reason why the Ravens are so good.
Well, even the year Lamar won MVP, right? Are we going to compare this year to that? That year was outrageous. This does not compare. Like
right now, he has half as many touchdowns.
Yeah, so I don't really see a reason for Lamar to win it over position players like CMC or Tyreek because let's be real here. I mean, yes, the Dolphins look good this past week without Tyreek. Don't get me wrong, it was against the Jets. But, I mean, the 49ers, CMC to me, other than Trent Williams, you're right about Trent Williams. CMC has been the backbone, man. CMC, I think ever since last year, the Niners have like almost never lost a game while CMC has been on the field. So I would say he's their most valuable player. And I would say he is the most valuable player in football.
You were talking about comparing him to like AP or someone. So right now he has almost just under 1,300 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, right? In the air, he has 500 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. So he has 20 touchdowns and almost 18. He has 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns right now.
He's probably going to finish the season with 2,000 plus yards.
He's 100% going to finish it with over 2,000 yards.
And how many touchdowns does he have right now?
20.
You're telling me that's a fucking MVP, bro. That's an MVP. It's ridiculous.
No, did you see that Purdy said he should be?
Yes, and he's right. I saw that. I completely agree with him. I couldn't agree more. When I think of MVP off the top of my head, that is the first person that comes to mind.
It would be kind of great after like everyone was like, "Oh, CMC's not that good." After he had that crazy year, where they're like, "He's injury prone." It's like, dude, they shut him down because they're the Panthers and they suck, man. Like he was gonna come back both those years, but this year he's been banged up. He's still playing through it. Arthur Smith is getting fired. Dude, they said he's not getting fired. And it just aggravates me so much because I want everyone to see how great of a player Bijan Robinson is. And they like don't use him the right way. Like, let alone they don't use him enough, but they don't use him the right way also. Like they can do so much more with Bijan. Bijan should be probably the main running back that we see outside of McCaffrey that we see on our TV making highlights every week. Like that's what we should see. So I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at, but I'm not convinced that the Chargers will hire a veteran coach. Probably not.
Let's be real, right? The Falcons can't say anything else. They can't for sure give us a for sure answer, but he's getting fired. I am 100% convinced he's getting fired. I mean, because come on, bro. You draft Drake London, you draft Kyle Pitts, you draft Bijan Robinson, and you still give the ball to Jonnu Smith and Tyler Algier and Cordarrelle Patterson. What the hell did they even use those first-round picks on them for? They should have just used them on defense then if you weren't going to use your best offensive weapons. So I think he's gone. Who's you guys' rookie of the year?
Puka Nacua.
Okay, Puka for sure. But you got to pick him in each conference, right?
I don't know who in the AFC would be mine.
Defense is whose defense? Some people said Jalen Carter. Let me see the awards real quick.
Yeah, look up the odds for it because I don't know who would win it on offense in the AFC.
MVP. This is never mind. This is just
the Eagles are making me so mad, bro. Because I understand Jalen is sick, but they just keep running the ball and it's making me really mad.
Okay, this is not that accurate, but let's see. MVP, not MVP. Rookie of the year. Oh, CJ Stroud's gonna make it. He's 100%.
Facts. Yeah, he should win it.
He'll win it. Then Puka should be second.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Addison has a case. He has 10 touchdowns. Defense. Well, I think defensive rookie of the year. Yeah, it's Jalen Carter. Why is Jalen Carter so high?
He gets a lot of praise. He's been getting a ton of praise.
I guess it's like Will Anderson. Let me see Jalen Carter's stats. Like, I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong.
He's really
I just didn't know he was like running away with it like that. I mean, he has 4 sacks. He's obviously an interior guy, not like that. But Will Anderson should have better stats. Let's see what Will Anderson's doing. 5 sacks.
Bro,
Yeah,
like they just ran it on 3rd and 6. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, CJ Stroud's definitely gonna win it. Zay Flowers was sick. I think that's who it is. I mean, dude, do you know that the early season odds for rookie of the year was like Bijan was like minus something.
Oh, everyone thought he was like
it was like viewed as almost like a lock.
Yeah, he was almost a lock.
Pretty crazy.
People didn't realize he played for the Falcons. Yeah. I mean, yeah, so I don't really have anything else to say. I'm gonna try just relax and watching. I can't relax watching this game. It's pissing me off. But I'm gonna go ahead and just go eat and watch some football, guys. I mean, Matt, if you have anything else to say.
I don't got much.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we went like for a long time for you guys. 50 minutes it's kind of a long time. So, I mean, with that being said, I'm done. I don't want to talk about the Padres. It makes my blood boil a little bit at times, unless they do something good. So,
we'll do stuff later this week too.
Yeah, so there's going to be more videos, but I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have anyone playing in fantasy like I do, I hope you win. It's not looking too good for me right now. I'm very frustrated. I hope you win, and I hope you have a great rest of your night and a great rest of your week.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all soon. Have a good night.